What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome to another edition of After the Movie. I just got out of seeing The Curse of La Llorona, and here to give my quick little thoughts on it. So, this movie was not advertised as a Conjuring film. However, as I made a video a few weeks ago, I think like last month, saying that it was a part of the Conjuring Universe, and upon watching the movie, yes, it is a part of the Conjuring Universe. There's one brief little connection that lasts like less than 30 seconds, where they talk where Father Perez from, I think it was the first Annabelle, comes in and is just like, yeah, I didn't believe so much in these weird supernatural things until I realized, oh yeah, they really do exist. So that's your only connection. There's no post-credit scene or anything like that. It's so like distant from the rest of the universe that it just probably was tacked on at the very end, I'm assuming. But oh well, it really doesn't have too much to do with the main narrative, like the Annabelle dolls, Valak, or any real connections to the Warrens whatsoever. Well, actually, there is the one Annabelle doll connection, but that's about it. But whatever. We're here to talk about The Curse of La Llorona. So, overall, I am a big fan of the Conjuring series. I love the second one the most. Conjuring 1's really good, Annabelle creation. The first Annabelle isn't good at all. The Nun is just okay. Upon rewatching it not too long ago, like, there's some great looking visuals and sets, and some of the acting's good, but the scares just aren't there. There's just something. The movies need either David F. Sandberg or James Wan to direct them, because those dudes can deliver. They're really good at directing horror. They got the emotions down. They got everything down with their movies so far. So even David F. Sandberg, upon seeing Shazam, like, the dude has some considerable talent. I'll just set these right up there. But this one's directed by a dude named Michael Chavez. I think this is his directorial debut. I'm not really familiar with his work. James Wan tapped this dude to direct Conjuring 3, and I'm not really excited about that, because I feel like James Wan should direct Conjuring 3. I don't know why he's not coming back to do it. I know he just did Aquaman. I know Conjuring 3 is supposed to come out next year, but come on, James. It's been like 5 years. It'll be like 4 or 5 years at that point. No, it was 2016 was the Conjuring 2. Yeah, come on, James. Come back, make Conjuring 3. Conclude your trilogy. You're so fucking close. He never concludes his trilogies. He directs the first sequel, and then that's it. He did that with Insidious. Didn't direct 3 or 4. He just kind of left him to go and do his own thing. Directed 2 excellent Conjuring films. With the second one, I think, is even better because of the focus of the family and just some of the really heartwarming, touching moments and some of the genuinely creepy things with Valak. And then the third movie, he's not directing it. And this dude named Michael Chavez, who has some neat directing style, it's not terribly directed. It's just the scares aren't really there in this one. And that has me nervous for Conjuring 3. I'm just like, this one's kind of okay as a movie overall. I was kind of disappointed. I was going into this thing kind of hoping. The advertisements really kind of stuck with me because of that La Llorona myth or legend or whatever. It's got a creepy concept of this woman who just straight up drowned and murdered her children, and has been going and haunting the earth for centuries, trying to like kidnap and drown children. That's a terrifying concept. And I don't come from Mexican folklore or anything like that. I'm sure it plays a huge factor with some people growing up. I've heard the legend be like, oh, you got to do this for La Llorona, we'll get you. It's kind of like the boogeyman, or Bloody Mary in the mirrors, like Bloody Mary, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to say it because then she'll come and get me. But yeah, there's like something interesting about this whole entire legend. I was really unfamiliar with it. Well, I was more familiar with it upon hearing the announcement of this movie, like when it was like being announced that it was going to be made. I'm like, ooh, that should be interesting. And then obviously there was a bit of confusion amongst people thinking, is this a Conjuring film? Is it not? They didn't advertise it as it, which I feel like is a mistake. You should be like the next part of the Conjuring Universe. That would get it more money, because the Conjuring Universe, spoiler alert, makes a lot of fucking money. It's the highest grossing horror film franchise of all time. Why they didn't advertise it is beyond me. And the franchise is pretty much bound to cross the $2 billion mark by next year at least. I don't know how far off they are with this one, but yeah, this is like the 6th entry, so I don't know if this one's going to make too much money. It doesn't have it's just nothing really too much there. It's better than the first Annabelle film, but I think I enjoyed The Nun a bit more. I think I liked the setting of that one. There's a little bit better. The acting is fine in this movie. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I just think some of it's kind of just dull in parts, per se. Nothing really stands out in this film. It gets kind of funny towards the end, and I think that really helped the movie out when it had a sense of levity. Um, there's some bits where I snickered here and there, and there is some generally creepy stuff. Like the opening sequence is shot very well, and just seeing her just straight up, yeah, La Llorona. Like there's a flashback sequence back in like the 1600s or whatever of La Llorona, like beforehand, just kind of just choking her, like drowning her kids. It's terrifying. But the way I figured they were gonna do it was like a huge river. No, it's kind of like a really shallow one where she just holds her kids down, and I'm like, ooh, God, that's just a genuinely eerie moment there. And then obviously some tragedy strikes. There's two kids who die, these two sons of Patricia Velasquez's character. And she was just like, I tried to keep him away. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're on Oxuna Moon. You should just call Emotep. So I was kind of snickering a bit with myself when when that came on. And what else do we got? So the movie's focused on Linda Cardellini's character. There is a Scooby Doo reference. I was laughing at because I'm like, the kids are watching Scooby Doo, and there's like a shot. You see the TV, and you see it like the camera on her. I'm like, oh my God, it's Velma and Velma in the same scene. Like that's pretty funny, because she obviously played Velma in Scooby Doo and Scooby Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, and she was a good Velma. I think she worked well. But yeah, so she's got her kids, and La Llorona is going after them. Then there's just the issues I have with this film are there's some real stupidity in this thing. I think the weak point of this film is the script. The directing isn't too much the problem. It's well shot. There's some great camera work going on, which is very reminiscent of The Conjuring. The scares just aren't there though, but there is some severe stupidity in this movie. For instance, the first boy goes and hears the crying, which he's just kind of like looking at the crime scene of the first kids who drown, and he goes to look, and there's the creepy ass La Llorona chick, and he's just like looking like, what is this sound? And she goes up to him, she grabs him, she leaves a mark on him, and then instead of telling his mom, he goes back to his car, he's like, lock the doors, sis, lock the doors. And he's just like, oh no, nothing, it's just my imagination. What? Why wouldn't you tell your mom some crazy bitch was trying to kill you? And then I figured, okay, it's gonna be revealed soon. Then the daughter has like the same thing, doesn't say anything. Then Child Protective Services comes in, and then the kids are like, still don't say anything until like later on. And I'm like, why is nobody saying anything about this thing? And then eventually he's just like, yeah, there was a woman, I saw her. And then obviously La Llorona comes in to factor in. She goes to this Father Perez, who is an Annabelle, and he's kind of just there for a brief little cameo to kind of tell a bit of the story of La Llorona. And he's just kind of there, just like, the church will take weeks to get out here. And she's like, we don't have weeks. La Llorona's coming to get us. And here's what I don't get. If La Llorona's coming after you, why not just hide in a church? Do you really think a demonic entity is going to go anywhere near a church? Can't they just be like, look, until the Vatican gets out here, can we just sleep in the church? I know that's kind of unorthodox, but we are terrified. This thing is coming to get us. And he's just like, nobody ever does that in movies, it feels like. I'm like, I feel like that's a safe place, like the safest place imaginable. I don't feel like any demonic entities are going to want to go in a Catholic church. So, but yeah. And then eventually they come into this one character played by the guy who played Tuco from Breaking Bad. He was pretty good. He was like this guy brought into he's the best part of the movie, in all honesty, like to stop La Llorona. He's got his own little rituals and stuff. He kind of turned away from the church, but he never turned away from God per se. He's more characteristic of a shaman, and he kind of reminded me of the shaman from Ash vs. Evil Dead. I don't know if anybody watches that show, but the shaman who was Pablo's uncle, he kind of reminded me of that bit. But yeah, he was pretty good. He had like this good on-screen presence. He had kind of a deadpan sense of humor, and he really brought some life into the movie towards the third act. It's just, there's some stupidity too. Like there's a scene where one of the little girls' his doll's outside, and he put like something on the doors. Like it's kind of like, you break. Imagine people do like in movies like a circle of salt or whatever. You break that circle, and then like the spirit can like get you. The little girl's doll's right outside the door. I'm like, oh my God, like they're literally trying to keep her from getting into the house. Like, and you're out here trying to get your little dolly, and guess what happens? Dumb shit happens. Oh shit, I just kind of spoiled something. I don't care. I'm not gonna I guess I'll give it away. The end. There's no post-credit sequence. The ending is fine. It's nothing inherently terrible or bad. It is a satisfying ending to the story. and it does have its own little unique spot within the Conjuring universe. There's definitely a few eerie bits here and there. I think the eeriest part of the movie is when the little girl is, taking a bath, and you've seen this in the trailer when she's the La Llorona is just like, washing her hair and kind of pushing her underwater. Like, that's kind of an eerie concept. You see her little fingers, you see like moments where she's kind of creeping behind some corners and here and there, and just, there's some creepy stuff here, but the jump scares, they fall flat. Can nobody direct these things like James Wan? I mean, the closest is David F. Sandberg, who is a very talented director. He did well with Lights Out, and he did well with Annabelle Creation. But I'm like, man, it's like the potential is there, but it's just not hitting the home run. And I feel like the cast too. Like, the acting is fine. There's some decent performances in here, especially from Tuco from Breaking Bad. And the child actors are fine, but there's no real personality. There's no real grit to these characters. They're kind of just like, okay, the family that's being chased by this thing, we got to stop them. And it's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more with these characters, but I guess we just can't have any of these characters be as good as the Warrens. Like I said, the closest was Annabelle Creation, and I guess I kind of liked Taissa Farmiga's character in The Nun. I think she was all right. But yeah, like, it's just not quite to that level. But yeah, so The Curse of La Llorona, in terms of my rankings in the Conjuring series, I'd put it number 5 out of 6. Part of me kind of just thinks The Nun's a little bit more memorable. There's some better cinematography. Like, I think this one's... What do you think's better, this or The Nun? I still think The Nun... I know a lot of people don't really like that one. They really hate it. Part of me kind of likes The Nun a bit more than this one. This one's not as hokey at times as The Nun is, but I feel like The Nun, it has Valak. There's a bigger on-screen presence in that film, and there's some genuinely creepy moments in that film too. I think that one gets the slight edge over The Curse of La Llorona. Still, in my rankings, the Conjuring series goes this: Conjuring 2, Conjuring 1, Annabelle Creation, then you can go The Nun, Curse of La Llorona, and then in last place is Annabelle. But yeah, okay, I think that's all I have to say. No real tie-ins to Annabelle Comes Home or anything like that, so there's no need to stick till after the credits. But overall, I think the movie's just kind of okay. It doesn't really do too much for me. I'm kind of disappointed, but it's okay. There's nothing inherently bad about the movie per se. Like, there's nothing. It's not a really terrible movie. It's just kind of so-so, which I guess is kind of like disappointing because I was hoping for a bit more, and this has me a bit nervous going into The Conjuring 3. I was really hoping that we get something special with that one, but who knows? Maybe things will change. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm just pissed off James Wan isn't directing that film. The guy who made this movie hopefully takes some of the criticism, learns a little bit. Maybe James Wan will be there to kind of coach him through directing The Conjuring, because the Conjuring films I hold in a higher regard, like the mainline films, not necessarily the spin-offs. But I really hope Conjuring 3 delivers, and I hope Annabelle, Comes Home delivers, because that one, I'm nervous about that one, especially coming off the surprisingly really good, like, Annabelle Creation. But we'll see. The Warrens are in that. The Warrens have a larger role in it, so maybe the Warrens are the good luck charms to these movies, where it's just like they're in there, so it therefore must be, a lot better. So, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you all so much for watching this film. Comment, like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of The Curse of La Llorona. I think the concept is really creepy, but it just didn't really have that, that kick to it, like, that I was kind of hoping for. There's a few scenes that are generally eerie, but the scares just don't really deliver per se. They kind of just come and go. The setups are there, but the payoff of the scares, you just got to have a master of it, like James Wan. James Wan's better at it. David F. Sandberg's better at it. I'm just kind of waiting for that other director to come in who can really tap into what those two were able to do and craft some genuinely terrifying sequences. So, but hopefully this director learns a bit more. I mean, I guess it's one of his first movies. I haven't really seen him do anything else. So hopefully he improves. James Wan hand-selected him. So we got to get something out of this. And why didn't James Wan just make Conjuring 3? It would have been so pitch perfect. But no, he's not. Hopefully that one delivers, because I'm kind of nervous without James directing it. So, all right. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Curse of La Llorona. And, comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And, looking forward to Annabelle Comes Home. The Warrens are in that one. So, hopefully that one's good and delivers. But, anyways, this has been After the Movie. I feel like this is the first After the Movie I've done in quite a while. No, the last one it was Shazam, but at least one that's like opening night, basically. So, feels good to be back at it. Got some more content coming out. And, yeah, I got the Marvel rewatch, which I'm almost done with. I'm going to see Captain Marvel probably tomorrow, and then I'll upload that one on Wednesday. And just more stuff coming through. Once I get through April, things are going to pick up the pace a bit, although I've actually been uploading more videos since I started the Marvel rewatch than, before. But those are just really simple, easy to make, just me just kind of rambling on, kind of like I'm doing now. So, I think I've rambled on long enough, and I've wasted your time. So, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye then. Conjuring franchise. Cool stuff.